I think it's important that government ministers, and particularly me as Chancellor, level with people.
And who in their right mind would argue with you, Alistair? Are you saying that there's ministers who don't think that way? But let's test the reality, shall we? Because I'm already testing it. And so far, Alistair, you ain't doing too well. First question, Alistair. IMF speech, October 2007. In the UK, in the recent pre-budget report, we revised the forecast for growth down from 2008 to the range 2 to 2.5% to reflect this international uncertainty. But due to a combination of the government's strong macroeconomic framework, its promotion of open and flexible labour, product and capital markets, and the strength of the British economy in the first half of the year, it is anticipated that the economy will remain resilient and return to its trend growth path in 2009. The underlying strength of the British economy has allowed the government to put in place medium-term spending plans which support the objective of a strong economy and a fair society, able to meet the challenges of new global economy with opportunity and security for all. Now let's get this clear. Alistair predicts a slight dip with absolutely no indication of a global meltdown, and this is in October 2007 to the IMF. And then he predicts a return to growth for the UK in 2009. So we must take Alistair Darling at his word for the moment, that he is on the level. And if he's on the level, this simply means he had no concept of what was coming up. And that is important, as we will see. Now Alistair's Guardian interview in August 2008. He can clearly recall the day last summer, that's 2007, when alarm bells first began to sound. The Chancellor was on holiday with his wife and their 2 teenage children in Mallorca. Quote, I remember I picked up the FT in the supermarket, as you do, and it had the European Central Bank starting to put money into the economy. I phoned the office to ask why they were doing quite so much. It didn't surprise me that money was going in. There was concern going around, but it was the sheer scale of it. I said, what about our institutions? This was when Northern Rock started to figure. When news broke of the first run on a British bank in more than a century, Darling was back in Edinburgh. I received a phone call and went straight down to London, from where I never returned. That was the last time I saw Edinburgh. Even then, the gravity of the credit crunch was still not fully clear. No one knew how serious it was yet. Now, before anyone suggests we were advised in any way by our governments, think again. Yet reps from our governments and central banks attended certain conferences in 2002 and 2003 which stated clearly what was on the horizon, but said nothing and kept pushing the mortgages and loans. These conferences will be advised of in a moment. Second question, Alistair. According to the September the 26th London Times, that's September the 26th, 2002, in private retreats, top oligarchs are discussing a hair-raising and grim future of non-stop wars in the Middle East and global economic collapse, or how the old dark age meets the new dark age. Quote, as if an ever-expanding war were not bad enough, the economic outlook presented to the gathered plutocrats was even grimmer, since it was not overlaid with the blustering confidence of the Washington War Party. In contrast to the geopolitical experts, who all seemed intoxicated by the omnipotence of the US military machine, the economic experts including James Wolfenson, President of the World Bank, Paul Volcker, the former Chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, and of course Warren Buffett, all emphasise the impotence of monetary and fiscal policy after the collapse of one of the great speculative bubbles of all time. To make matters worse, the company generally agreed that America and Britain would soon be threatened by the new bubbles in the property markets. Wow. Crystal ball or what? Remember, Darling wasn't meant to have known. Brown wasn't meant to have known. No one was meant to have foreseen this. Yes, Bilderberg again. Let's just see who attended, shall we? So let's see who we've got here. We've got Martin J. Taylor, Goldman Sachs International. We've got Ed Balls, Chief Economic Advisor to the Treasury. We've got Kenneth Clark, an ex-Chancellor of the Exchequer. We've got Philip Gould, Public Relations Advisor to Blair. We've got Mervyn King, Deputy Governor of the Bank of England at the time. Gareth Williams, Leader of the House of Lords. Martin Wolf, the Financial Times. Micklethwaite, The Economist. And Gideon Rachman, The Economist. And yet we didn't see it coming. Asia Times article, May 2003, covering the Bilderberg Conference in Versailles. So perhaps it's two words. And I trust the following is self-evident. Now the following is for demonstrating issue 3, the corruption, throughout, and this is Alan Greenspan.
There was something that I was quite interested in your book, which was your definition of corruption and crony capitalism. You said, when a government's leaders or businesses routinely seek out private sector individuals or businesses and, in exchange for political support, bestow favors on them, the society is said to be in the grip of crony capitalism. You say the favors generally take the form of monopoly access to certain markets, preferred access to sales of government assets, and special access to those in power. I kept thinking about Halliburton, Blackwater, Lockheed, and Boeing. You were referring to Indonesia at the time, but I'm wondering, according to your definition, and we're seeing these we're seeing contracting emerging, as in the words of the New York Times, a fourth arm of government. Front page of the New York Times talks about $6 billion being investigated for criminal activity in contract allocation in Iraq. I'm wondering whether you think the United States is a crony capitalist economy, according to your definition.
Every economy exists, no matter what the level of democracy, has elements of crony capitalism. It's given human nature and given the democratic structures which we all, I assume, adhere to, that is an inevitable consequence. The major issue is it the dominant force within an economy? It was the dominant force under Suharto. It is not the dominant force in this country.
Well, how about this? In 2003, when you were head of the Federal Reserve, the U.S. government handed out 3,500 contracts to companies to perform security functions. In 2006, the year that you left the Federal Reserve, they handed out 115,000 such contracts. It seems to me that it is becoming a dominant force.
Alan Greenspan, The master of economics, the man that Gordon Brown and Ed Balls went to meet, came back and adopted all his policies. The man that Gordon Brown thought was a god. Well, this man was for 18 years the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the USA, overseeing absolutely everything economically from the US perspective, and to some extent worldwide. He's also a Bilderberger, and he got the information. But during 2007, he started talking to John Paulson of Paulson & Co., a hedge fund. And by January 2008, Paulson & Co. took him on board as an advisor. What did he advise them about? The subprimes. So here's Paulson & Co. They worked with Goldman Sachs to create a market for the collateral default swaps, the credit default swaps. Created a market out of nothing with money out of nothing. And Greenspan was in on it. Paulson & Co. then, in 2007 and 2008, by the end of 2008, had made the largest killing of any financial hedge fund outfit in history. In all of history. Thank you, Alan Greenspan. And here's the Reuters report showing Alan Greenspan joining Paulson & Co. as an advisor in January 2008. None of this stuff is made up, folks. These people are insiders. The Bilderberg crew in 2003 and at the meeting in 2002, Mervyn King, the whole lot of them, they know, they knew, they screwed us. Ask yourself a very simple question. Why do our politicians put in place policies that would be detrimental to them? They never do they? Now this rich list reveals a record rise in wealth for the 1,000 richest people by 30% during a point of time where there's been an economic crisis. Why is that? It's because the wealthy, the bankers, the super rich, make policy. When they make policy, they tell our politicians what to do. They then say, but it's okay, we'll make sure that you invest in the right places so that it doesn't affect you. And so the politicians are quite happy to carry it on. Screws you, but they make a fortune out of it. It's as simple as that. I mean, come on. Why do you think Mandelson and Osborne vacation on Rothschild's yacht in Corfu? Just have a few sips of wine and a good chat and all buddies? Osborne doesn't know Rothschild. Mandelson introduced him. Mandelson's known him for a long time. Mandelson goes into the EU, Mandelson comes back in the UK government. It's all a done deal. These guys are told what policies to put in place, and then they're told, hey, don't worry, you'll be okay because we'll tell you what to hedge, what to invest in. Okay? It's as simple as that. As simple as that. Meanwhile, this pisses me off. We've got two lads who are millionaires because they just happen to slip out of the right fallopian tubes. That pisses me off.